Ladies and gentlemen, the battle for the Kings of EU continues here. It's week 6 of the Simrigs Sprint Series over here in Donington Park, a track we haven't been to in a little bit of time. Hello everybody, my name is Nick Amo, and I want to welcome you to another broadcast here of this wonderfully amazing Sprint Series. And joining me in the booth, as always, how could we forget him? Charles Phillips. Sir, how have you been? It's been a couple of weeks since we last spoke.
I have been very well, and yeah, how are you, Nick?
Oh, I'm doing pretty well. I was gearing up to DM Mullock last week, and I was thinking, all right, got to do some sprint, and then I remembered, oh, that's right, we don't have anything, so that was a nice little breath of relief. But now we're back again.
Of course, we are back. Another race. Today we have a 70-minute sprint race. Of course, no mandatory tire change and optional refueling, so that is going to make for an interesting race.
Well, the refueling is, yeah, it's just fueling, but we do have a mandatory stop, and if drivers do decide to go for some fuel, it's not going to be fixed. So normally, as we do these mandatory pit stops, the amount of time when it comes to refueling, it's, let's say 10 seconds period. Well, now, depending on how much you want to put in, it's going to adjust it a little bit more realistic, so drivers will have some choices to make. Do they underfill and then go in for some more fuel, or do they just do the standard Sprint Series shebang and just overfuel and go from there?
Yeah, of course, it is all a matter of strategy around this track, and it's going to be interesting to see how the top guys play out with the strategy.
Yep, and this is definitely a track that challenges the drivers as always. We haven't been here to Donington Park in quite a while. The last time we were here was July 22nd of 2021, so almost 2 years ago.
Yeah, that is exciting. After 2 races ago, we had a racetrack that we have never raced on. Now we have one that we almost didn't race on for 2 years, so it is quite refreshing to be here again.
Yep, and obviously welcoming in Tully and Moritz. Always glad to have you guys. So the last time we were out here, again, it was just about 2 years ago. Back EU actually had 2 splits, blue and red, much the same way North America does. So if we actually look at the pole time for the last run of this, it was a 125.889 set by, who else? Simon Bauer, the man right here, very coincidentally with the autopilot, thank you, in the Honda. So he's looking to make that happen again, a 26.05, so he's slowly closing in on that. He was about 200ths behind Vidgradov, but now it's a little over half a second. And then for the red split time, it was a driver by the name of Spence Robb, who did a 126.106 in a Porsche. So it seems as though the Honda is still very much a problem, even now, almost 2 years later.
Yeah, of course, Honda is a very strong car on this track, and a lot of downforce, a lot of these fast corners which really suit the car. And yeah, of course, Simon Bauer, one of the best drivers we have in here, and I have no doubt he will be able to beat his personal best from 2 years ago.
Well, he's not really beating it right now. I think he's just setting up for another flying lap. Vinogradov, of course, showing the power of the Porsche. It's, half-second gap, but still up there in number 2. Rumbout's there, number 3. So let's take a moment very, very quickly. Quick shout-out, Simrigs, of course, as always. Got to give them a little bit of love. Melbourne-based sim racing supplier. One of the best, one of the biggest down under. Australia, New Zealand, they got you covered. NA, EU, Africa, South America, some parts of Asia. Hey, send them an email. They'll be more than happy to do some business with you. Of course, our Patreon members do get 5% off their purchases, so definitely take advantage of that. But again, thank you to Simrigs for sponsoring Season 12 of the Sprint Series. And, well, with that, let's take a look at the results from last week. So we were at Suzuka. There you go, Dawson. Good little save. A track that I think you and I both enjoy, Charles.
Yeah, of course, great track and an exciting race last time, and was very great.
It was. So that first race overall, it was Bauer, Rumbouts, and Ippolito at the top step, or the top 3 steps of the podium. And then for the Pro-Ams, it was Huziak, Partes, and Rose. Drivers who we only see one of. We only see Partez here tonight. So that'll be good for him. And then going into that second race, of course, we do have the reverse grid. So it was Hearn who took home top spot, and then Vinogradov and Cairns making it 2 and 3. Cairns, of course, who finishes third, will finish first in the Pro-Am category of that second race, followed by Huziak and Sack. And then for amateurs, it was Hutton, Abelstead, and Friel. I completely skipped over. Pro-Am for race 1, Huziak, Partez, Rose. Amateur was Abelstead, Brioso, and Hutton. So I forget how things work. So pretty, I would say, standard set of finishers that I think used to seeing here in EU when it comes to these races.
Yeah, I think so. And it was a very interesting race that we had on Suzuka. Uh, Many different plot twists in the race we had, and really it was anybody's race then.
Yeah, it seemed to have been the commonality amongst the division or the regions AP, EU, and NA. So hopefully get some more of that here at Donington. Looking at the point standings, however, Simon Bauer in the lead, 600 points even. So this is just another race for him. It looks like second place belongs to Vinogradov, who does sit P2 currently, 567. That's a 33-point gap. Depending on how much ground, if Vinogradov does get around Bauer, he's going to look for the German to lose as much time as humanly possible so he gets as few points as possible. That could push him into the lead. We'll have to see how things pan out. And then Rumbauts, 520. It's a 47-point gap to the Russian. Rumbauts has dropped from third to fourth. Fredrickson has overtaken that position. In Pro-Am, it's Cairns on top of that one, 356, a 25-point gap. 331 is what Huziak has to play with. But the problem for him is that, well, Beauchart, who is in the lobby, is only 11 points behind with 320. And then looking at amateur class, Abelstead leads it by a pretty comfortable margin. He's got 268 points compared to the 219 of Brioso. 49 is your difference. And then from Brioso to Oberg, it's 160 for the Swede. 59 points is that difference. And looking at, well, the timing sheets at the moment, Beauchart has a lot of work to do if he wants to overtake Huziak. Although Huziak isn't here, so this could be a little bit of a gimme for the Belgian, as we see Ippolito pop into 5th. So the top 5, all pro drivers. It's only Cuthbert who's outside of the party.
Yeah, of course, it is. They are the pro drivers. They know what they're doing, and I have I have high hopes for an exciting race today.
Yep, even though we only have 15 drivers, anything can happen, and especially with 70 minutes, that extra 10, it's not as bad as the mini Enduros, where it's an hour and a half, but it could still throw some drivers off. We'll have to wait and see who's been practicing. One interesting line here is actually just what Nemeth did into turn 1. You want to go into pit lane a little bit, about halfway, a little bit more. That gives you a much better line, and of course, that's all within the bounds of the rules, so you know, drivers are going to be doing that. Charles, I assume you've gotten around Donington at least a few times?
Oh yeah, of course. It is an interesting track. A lot of bumps near the curbs that you have to avoid. Um, there's really a lot of track limits that you can gain, especially on top of the hill, now where Nizielski is about to go. If you go on the green, you get a track cut. If you go in the chicane and you get too hot, you get a track cut, time invalidated, and of course, the car is just going to get offset, and yeah.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that uphill right that Nizelski just went through. It's blind. So you really have to. It's just one of those corners that you can't say, oh, you brake here, you brake there. It's just off of feel, because as far as I'm concerned, there's really no good brake marker to really play with, I think. So I feel like that's one of the biggest challenges with Donington.
Yeah, but as you go and do laps, you kind of just get a feeling for where that braking zone is, and you will do it more and more consistently on every lap. But yeah, as Nizelski crosses the line here, he is P15.
Yeah, he's still down there, unfortunately. Brioso and Dawson sort of keeping him company. some silver ratings. So it looks like we're kind of in the bit of time where we're going to be changing up how the classes look. But obviously, sort of final laps for everybody. It's still Bauer on pole, 26:05. It's a very strong time. Vinogradov, try as he might, he's not finding as much time as he really should. If you compare it to last year's pole times, it was Bauer on pole when he ran this track last, and the last driver for EU Red who got pole wasn't a Porsche, so this isn't too far off from last time, but the time splits definitely are a lot different.
Yeah, what we have noticed in ACC that over time the cars and the physics changed and the cars just got a bit slower on all tracks. So there is not really a high chance of beating previously set times in previous patches in the game.
That's always true. So you got to work with what you got. We just saw Beauchart pop into the top 10. That's a very good improvement for him. Dawson has a couple of tenths up. I don't think this will be enough to overtake Cairns, but it'll at least give him a little bit of breathing room down to Brioso, who's just tumbling down the timing sheets because he's back into the pit lane. So Dawson crosses. It's still 13th for him. And, well, this man right here, Eugene Vinogradov, talked about his praises all the time, it seems like, this season, even last. So out of the final corner, he's got a couple tenths on himself. It won't be enough to overtake Bauer, but it will cut that lead in half. 26-31, and I think Partez just moved up into P8. So now it is time, once again, for my favorite thing. Do you know what it is,
The
Charles?
track one.
Yes, sir.
Oh, of course, the grid one.
Always in forever. Always a fun little thing because you get to see all the fun designs that drivers are making. So let's take a look. Let's see what is in store for us. I'm gonna hit F2 first, so I don't hit F3 again like I did the last time and the time before that. I promise you, I am professional.
Of course.
Let's a quick run down the grid as always. 15 cars, but still. It's going to be a pretty hectic battle. Bauer on pole once again. I don't remember how many poles he's gotten this season, but he has been collecting them left, right, and center. He's going to look to convert that to another win here. Vinogradov, really the only guy that can challenge him, lines up P2 on the grid. He's second place currently in the standings. He wants to close that gap up as much as he can and possibly have a shot at the crown at the end of the season. And then it's Fredrickson. Abelstead up into P4, the amateur class driver, punching well above his weight. Love to see it. Rumbouts, P5. We'll take a look at his car in a little bit. He's got a new livery on that one. Ippolito, Nemeth, Partez, Cuthbert, and Beauchart are your top 10. Then it's Olberg, Cairns, Dawson, Brioso, and Nidzelski, who are going to round out the grid. A good number of McLarens in the back, surprisingly. You talked about the downforce and the speed, and the McLaren is known for that, but it's surprising to see almost all of them out of the top 10.
Yeah, I think it is just unfortunate that the McLarens have not got the best representation on this track today, but hopefully that is going to change in the race.
Now, let's take a look. This is Rumbouts. He switched it up for Cracked Racing. He made a comment about it, and I was like, oh, I would definitely be able to make one, haha, you know, sarcastically. And he goes, so here are the assets, man. I was like, I don't know how to tell you this. I was kidding. He goes, all right, no problem. But he'll be looking to have a little bit of luck, of course. A very solid message there on the bumper. So we'll see if that fends off anybody later on this evening.
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, we've got just under 30 seconds to go here before the start of week 6. Welcoming in, of course, Rumbouts, who's sitting in the... Oh my, jeez, I don't even know what that sound was. That scared me. I don't know if anyone heard that. I have no idea what's going on.
I definitely heard it.
PC is possessed, I think. Which, you know what, honestly, kind of fair. Seeing the things that done, but whatever. Shoutouts, of course, Kevin Parody joining us. We got Daniel Hearn, Notbone as well. Welcome in, everybody. We're pulling away, though. We're getting ready for 70 minutes of action here at Donington Park. Bauer, another pole for him. Vinogradov. How many times have we seen these two up in those first two positions? I mean, honestly.
It's been 2, 3, maybe 4 races that they are just up there. And yeah, it's going to be exciting as they're once again up there, side by side, gonna be starting on this track.
I'm excited. I'm ready to see. I don't want to brag or anything, but I did some racing here when we did it last, of course. That was season 6 of Sprint Series. How well did I do? I mean, obviously, I definitely probably won. Let's see.
Of course.
I finished P14. I think I was 3rd in amateur class at that point, so I'll take it in the Aston Martin. So let's see what happens. One Aston Martin, or two, sorry, Fredrickson there in P3, and then Ippolito just passing now in P6. So we'll see what they can do. Maybe they pull out something crazy here tonight.
Yes, of course. Anything is possible in these races, and it's nice to see a British manufacturer in the top 3 at their home track.
Exactly. It's only 1 in that top 5, but 3 in the top 10. Cuthbert made it in, albeit barely over Bouchard, but yeah, you can see all those other McLarens sort of piling through. I think maybe the little Donington Park on that rear right has given him a little bit of extra boost, maybe?
Yeah, it's possible, you never know.
Yeah, well, we're lining up 2 by 2 through the hairpin. This is going to probably be a very popular overtaking spot. 15 drivers on the grid here tonight. Not as many as we expected, but that's okay. We'll still get a lot of action. They got to close up those gaps, of course. They don't want to catch a penalty. But we'll see what is going to go down here for this race. A very big surprise there with Abelstead in the BMW into the top 5, especially ahead of someone like Rumbouts and even Ippolito. So, I don't know, maybe we see the promotion, but ladies and gentlemen, we cross the start-finish line, still trundling. It's green, green, green. Here we go into the first turn. Vinogradov not getting the best start like Bauer does. You can see Rumbouts holding on the inside. Ippolito's off the track and falling down the grid. There's a touch there. Off goes. I believe that's not Cuthbert. I believe that could possibly be... Oh, I don't even know who that is. Somebody is off the... Someone's off the track. In the back at the start of the race, dirt being kicked up on board with Cairns. You can see just how close this running pack is. Bauer way up ahead. Vinogradov trying to chase him down. Nemeth there, P6 in the BMW behind Abelstead, a fellow Beamer. Amateur class though, punching above his weight, showing the Pro-Am how it's done just behind there. In the rear view, you do see Cuthbert. Very scary looking McLaren, and just behind them is Partez. But with the sort of disadvantage the Porsche has in terms of top end, he's going to really be relying on that slipstream. Abelstead through the chicane somehow.
Just over the curb and loses the car almost. That was very close. As we see, Partez in the back making an overtake on Cuthbert.
Cuthbert, yeah, Cuthbert missed his brake point completely. And he loses out.
Yeah, just loses the position, and 3 positions there in one corner. Not very good for Cuthbert, but that is quite a start we had there.
It is, and huge shout out to Abelstead. I mean, what a save that was. You talked about it earlier, how those inside curbs, some of them are extremely deadly. We even saw it earlier in, oh god, what was the track? I can't remember. It was another British track. I'm sure it'll come to me later, but yeah, incredible save there from Abelstead to keep the car under control. Not easy to do, of course, but he makes it look like child's play as everybody's running through the grass now.
Oh yeah, it is. First few laps, the tires are cold. Very little grip in these cars on the opening of the races, but the drivers have coped brilliantly, and very few incidents so far.
Yeah, and you saw it with Cuthbert, he just completely missed the apex. And that just shows you when you're at the start of the race, those tires are low. Good luck getting around some of the corners here especially. It's not easy by any means. Dawson starting to feel some heat though. Unfortunately, it's not in the tires. It's from the Italian of Ippolito, who I believe was one of the cars that went off. It looks like it was Olberg, actually, that got the worst of it all as he goes way beyond the Veil and is settled back in 15th. A little cutback maneuver for Dawson. Does he get the run, though, out of the corner? That's the big question. Side by side, Ippolito has to concede. It was a great attempt there from the Italian, but back
And
in on the
Ippolito
inside.
again on the inside.
He's still...
Again on the inside, he's very impatient right now. It seems like it because he's stuck behind a silver driver and he has to get past.
Yep, through the first turn, there's a little bit of touch. Dawson knocked off his line a little bit, and Ippolito is around. Ippolito, though, was on the racing line, at least for the first half, but as he gets through the corner, there is a Porsche in the way, so he's going to be getting his charge back up. Abelstead, check out this man, in P6, he only dropped a little bit, I believe, and now he's got Partes really struggling to keep his BMW held down through some of these corners.
Oh yeah, as I said, the curbs and the bumps on this track are very deadly to every car, so it is going to be a real challenge for these drivers to get around cleanly, as we see Partes just looking on the inside, then the outside, just cannot make a move stick in the chicane.
No, he wasn't close enough. He had the run there, of course, but the problem is just ran out of road. And it looks like Beauchart may have had the same fate. There's Cairns from a long way back. Or no, sorry. No, that is Cairns. Out of nowhere. And gets the overtake done on Beauchart. Wow, that's surprising. I mean, we said it. It's a popular overtaking spot. And, well, there you go.
Yeah, you can just send it down the inside as long as the car ahead of you allows it. So that is exactly what just happened. And in the back, we see Dawson and Oberg fighting for P13 as Oberg is on the inside. Will he make it? No, he will not.
I think he got a run there out of the final corner. And then again, just like what we saw earlier, ran out of road. Now down the very fast flowing, sweeping left, right. Olberg has to back off. He gets a snap of oversteer, corrects it beautifully, keeps the momentum running, looks down the inside there of Dawson, but again, just not enough room to play with. Has to back out, but has this caused Dawson to make a bit of a mistake? No, he hasn't. The Brit holds on, but the Swede back again. He's on the inside, fires it through, and misses his break point. He's off the circuit, and Dawson getting away with his life.
And that allows Nizelski to get a run on Oberg there. On the straight there, before the chicane. Makes a move stick, but Oberg is still in there as Nizelski goes wide and concedes the position back to Oberg. Amazing racing we are seeing here.
Incredible. They're not done quite yet, and as I say that, it looks like Nizelski sticks with that outside line, so unfortunately for him, he's going to have to slot into the very uncomfortable P15. The pole, though, definitely not done with his campaign. Brioso, driver we haven't really talked about too much so far this broadcast, in P11 at the moment, ahead of Ippolito. The Italian dropping quite a ways down from his earlier victories this race, but still a little over an hour to go, so he's got plenty of time to make up those positions. We do have a penalty coming through here for Beauchart, so we're going to take a look and see what that is, unless the penalty bot is on a bit of a break. Nope, it seems to be working beautifully, so let's take a peek. A collision on lap 1, so that'll get added on to the pit stop later on in the race. No pit window as well, I should mention. So drivers can pit whenever they want, as long as they do it before the end.
Yes, of course, and the collision was probably one of the incidents we saw just on the back of the camera there on lap 1, and I think it is very unfortunate, but it's racing, it happens. As we see Abelstead making a move in the hairpin and not quite getting it through as he goes wide and allows Nemeth to just go right past him.
Yeah, comes back in not the best fashion, and doesn't get the final corner too well either. So this little battle pack is forming up quite well. You see Abelstead just weaving around, trying to find something he can work with, something he can mold into an extra position. But a fellow BMW in the way there of Nemeth is not going to make that easy. And of course he has to watch for Partez. Look at how close Abelstead is. He can read the name on the back of the BMW as he gets a very good run there out of those set of corners. And back up again. This is not really the place you overtake unless you're feeling exceptionally brave. But at this stage of the race, I don't think you should be even considering something like that. Get a good run onto one of these back stretches. Maybe go into the hairpin covering off.
Look at Partez.
Yeah, Partez really trying it. And again, just this track, you seem to get a really good run at the worst possible times. But now, in the slipstream, weaving all over, and Abelstead not giving him any options.
Yeah, of course, and speaking of Abelstead, he's just getting past Nemeth right now into the hairpin.
Yeah, Nemeth got a little bit bent out of shape there on the exit of the chicane. That's what gave Abelstead the chance to catch up and get the move done into the hairpin. Just a little bit later on the brakes, made it work, had the inside line, and it looks like Nemeth wasn't ready for that one. Now Dawson could be lining up, or sorry, Partez could be lining up a shot here if he can just get a better run. But look at Abelstead already starting to run away with this.
Yes, of course. Once you get the move done, all you have to do is run away from the car behind if possible. If not, then keep him behind.
Yeah, well, that's still going to be another hour left before we get that. Dawson picks up 5 seconds for a collision on lap 1. Poor Bollard getting kicked around, but it seems to have calmed down a good bit after that chaotic first 5 minutes. It's still Bauer very much in the lead. He's got, what is that, a 5.7? It's about 5. I think it's climbing right now. And fastest lap with a 26.47.
Yes, of course, Bauer is just running away with the win right now as we speak. And yeah, I think it's going to be relatively easy for him. But look at Partez, just cannot get past the BMW there.
No, even in the slipstream, just doesn't have enough horsepower to get around. But Nemeth looking a little bit hesitant on some of these corners. He's not quite getting the same lines that he was having a couple of laps ago, and that's really hurting his overall pace as Partez is able to just reel him in. Last lap for Nemeth was a 29.4. For Partez, it was a 29.3, so it's about a 10th. But it is enough to make things a little bit tricky for the Hungarian. As we go on to lap number 7, Partez still behind, but looking for any door he can. And again, this is not... You want to get a move done either before turn 1 or into it, because after that you just have to sit behind, because you're not going to get a chance, at least not a good chance, through this section here.
Yes, of course. You have to get the move done either in the hairpin or the chicane or anywhere before this section right here, because you cannot make a move here. It is just way too risky and it's just asking for trouble.
Yep, and even up the hill through that right-hander, you can do it, but again, based off of feel, you're focusing more on when you have to brake or turn in rather than, all right, I have to figure out when this guy brakes, because you can easily get baited into out-braking yourself, and at that point, well, you're off the track, so good luck holding that one down.
Yes, of course, and as we see, Brioso here still under pressure from Ippolito, who's dropped another place, it seems like.
Yep, and picked up 5 seconds for a collision on lap 3. Down the inside he goes. Can he just park it on the apex? He does. Aston Martin very good with the brakes, but can he get it out of the corner? Does the turbo lag affect him a little bit? He opens it up on the inside. Brioso comes in with a touch.
Yeah, that is very unfortunate there. Brioso just, I think, misjudged the space he had, and unfortunate, but yeah.
Yeah, quite
He'll
possibly.
have to give the position right back to Ippolito.
Yeah, I'm sure the stewards will take a look at that as they do with everything. Ippolito already, like we said, 5 seconds to his name. So he'll want to keep that as minimum as he can, so that way that pit stop doesn't take too long. Nemeth, though, has found some space, has pushed Partez back a little bit, and just behind them we see Cuthbert and Cairns sort of just putting together a possible fight we may see later on. Cuthbert's last lap, a 29.0 compared to a 28.5, so Cairns definitely with the pace. It's just a matter of getting around.
Yes, of course, and yeah, one thing is to catch another car, another thing is to overtake the other car. So you can be right with them for hours, but if you cannot pass, you have to just stay behind and wait for a mistake.
Yep, and there's a very good example of that. Nemeth and Partez side by side through the hairpin, but nothing that Partez could really do. He was stuck on the outside, so he had a longer line compared to Nemeth. But onto the front straight, we could be seeing something, but just it's the Porsche. Even with the slipstream, it's just not enough to really overcome the BMW, it looks like. And again, stuck in a very awkward position. Nemeth with some not so good lawn mowing skills on the inside, and then the outside there for Partez through the S's. This is going to get really tight here, as it's a little bit of a cutback, but Partez stays ahead. Nemeth tries to fight back. Up the hill they go, into the right, or into the left, and then the right-hander coming up. Is Nemeth going to go for something? No, he doesn't, and just has to settle into P7, but Partez, incredible driving from both of these.
Yes, of course. As I said, you just have to wait for the mistake, and the mistake happened in turn one. Nemeth, very unfortunate to go on the grass, but it's racing, and stuff like that is always going to happen.
Yep, got to make sure he can keep the pace, though. Looks like he might have cut the chicane a little bit, trying to regain some ground. No idea if that counted towards his track cut counter, but I'm sure if it did, I can actually check, can I? Probably doesn't tell me in the basic cut, but either way, yeah, no, it's just a really good battle there from both of these guys. So we'll see how well they do. Let's see. Partez has a better personal best, 27.8 compared to the 28.2 of Nemeth. So 4/10, and we won't really count those last laps because they're battling and kind of all over each other. So for the time being, the Hungarian comes out ahead of, or no, sorry, it's the Pole that comes out ahead of the Hungarian. So Partez in the middle of a BMW sandwich has to chase down Abelstead, who is on track for a P5 finish, which is amazing for him.
Yes, of course. The AM drivers are really just looking to finish anywhere, and to finish P5, even a P10 as an AM driver is an amazing result. So, as we see, Partez, they're going slowly.
Oh, and Cuthbert as well. Off the track there, and that gives Cairns a chance to just slip on by. No problem there. I mean, he was chasing him down. I guess it was just a matter of sooner or later. Whoa, Partez, though, a lot of damage. Let's roll this one back as Beauchart just completely cuts the chicane. So let's figure out what happens here. This is very surprising. I don't know if he picked it up. Oh, I think this was after it happened.
I have not seen anything that has happened,
No,
so...
it must have been a while ago, because he had a lot of damage on that right side.
Yeah, I do not know what happened, but yeah, that is Partez in P9 now.
Yeah, and to think he had just gotten around to Meth, too, so maybe there was contact. I'm not too certain. Again, it's a little too far back for us to really see. But now the Porsche is just going to suffer a lot more, especially given the fact that Partez is going to just spend more time in the pits, plain and simple. Because of that damage, it's going to affect him for the rest of the race. The two McLarens there up front doing a little bit of gardening, as Cuthbert, I think, is getting a bit of a run onto Cairns. Oh, we've got, is that...
And there we can see...
That's
Abelstead. Yeah. At the same place that we saw Partez going slowly.
Wow, that's surprising. And Beauchart has a chance there. to overtake, but Abelstead, oh man, I knew I should have knocked on wood. I take full responsibility for that. That's heartbreaking, though, for the Swede.
Yeah, it is very unfortunate, but yeah. Uh, can we get a replay on what happened, or is that too late?
A
As we
little
see
too far
ahead,
back.
Cuthbert and Cairns fighting.
Where is he? Oh, he must be side by side. Oh, they're very much side by side. Into the final corner. The two McLarens still duking it out here. Two of the 5 McLarens here on the grid tonight. Down into turn number 1. Cuthbert on the inside. Cairns on the outside. Partez just behind. Looks for a bit of a dive, but has to back out of it. The door was going to close sooner than he would have liked as Cairns.
And Cairns on the grass there allows Spartas to just sail past him.
Yep, pushes through, no problem. He'll take it. That gives Cuthbert a chance to breathe, though. But these three are not done. And just behind, you do see Abelstead trying to make a comeback. So he has gotten some distance between himself and Beauchart. We could be seeing one heck of a run if Abelstead is able to make it work. And there's Cuthbert. Punts the...
Yeah, sorry.
You're all right. We all got caught out. Cuthbert, though, punting the sign there. And you saw in the back, while we were focusing here on the Briton just losing it, you saw Abelstead almost lose his BMW, I think in the same way he may have the last time.
Yeah, it is a very difficult corner, and I am unsure what is happening there. We saw Bartes, we saw Abelstead, who knows who is next.
Yeah, I think it's just like you were talking about earlier in the broadcast there, Charles. The bumps in some of these corners, and especially with a car like a McLaren, I mean, how sensitive is that to the little changes? It's almost amazing when you can hold it half the time.
Yeah, I drive the McLaren, and it basically cannot go on any bump because it's just gonna give up on you.
Yeah, it doesn't do too well compared to something like the Aston Martin or even the Bentley, which sort of does pretty well with these curbs. But yeah, that's sort of one of the downfalls of such a fast car. Brioso picking up 15 seconds for the collision with Ippolito we saw earlier. So that'll get added on. Nice little line of red there down towards the tail end of the field. So that'll get served during those pit stops. I'm not certain when drivers are coming in, sort of on a case-by-case basis. Let's hop back up, though. Ivan Cairns. And look who it is. Abelstead, showing why he's more deserving of something greater than a red box, as he is hunting down P7, possibly 6th and 5th before the end of the race. Cairns, try as he might.
Abel on the inside of the hairpin there. Will he make the move stick? He just might there. But Cairns gets the switchback, and they're still side by side there, going into the final corner. This is very close and amazing racing we are seeing here.
Yep, and then it's just Cairns backing out, realizes he's not going to have the run. So Abelstead picking up P7 with a very solid move there. He had an excellent run out of the chicane and was able to convert that into an inside line, and that's what set him up for right now. Looking ahead, it is Partez. What did I say earlier about a BMW sandwich?
Oh yeah, there it is again.
You can't get... Hey, you know what? Probably some German meat in that sandwich. I know the Germans are known for that kind of stuff, so why not give us a nice little smorgasbord of action here. Ippolito as well, the Italians known for their food, and he's cooking up something quite nicely there with Beauchart just up ahead for P11. 15 seconds for Beauchart and 5 for Ippolito, so even if the checker flag fell right now, Ippolito would pick it up, but of course, just under 48 and a half to go here for this race. And Ippolito's looking like I can't really find a path to play with, though. It's just this wide Lamborghini making it next to impossible.
Yeah, Ippolito not having the best race here at Donington, and he's just been held up by first Brioso, then Oberg, then Beauchart, and just cannot get a way past these guys. And it is very unfortunate because he has the pace, but no opportunities to overtake.
No, it's just sort of what the race is there. Cairns getting a little oversteery out of the final corner as Beauchart's swinging way over to try to cover off Ippolito, but I think he realizes that maybe he doesn't have to worry about it. Darts
Oh,
back to
and
the racing line.
yeah, that was very aggressive there on the straight. Tiny bit questionable, but Ippolito stays behind Bouchard.
Yeah, I think the stewards may have a look at that. I think some of those weaves were a little bit too much. So if that gets called out, they'll take a look at it. If not, well, whatever. Ippolito running it there through the grass, tries to pick up some time. Partez, yeah, you see that right side, a lot of damage. And that is not helping him as Abelstead is just hunting him down. There's blood in the water and the shark is hungry.
Yes, Abelstad is just having an amazing race here in Donington. It is. I am very glad to see that because AM drivers they do not get much screen time, and yeah, it is quite amazing to see them this far this far up in the pack.
Yeah, and think about when Abelstead first joined the OOR. I mean, very much a conservative driver, very sheepish in a lot of possible overtaking opportunities. But as this season has developed, he has been so far beyond what he started as. It's beautiful to see these kind of improvements throughout the season, and even just over the course of a few seasons. We see it in North America, especially. There's a good number of drivers. Abelstead, as I'm singing his praises, tells me to shut up. Sorry, I apologize. But no, I mean, the improvement that Abelstead has had just in this season alone has been incredible. He starts off, like I said, not confident, and now look at him. He's vying for 6th and could possibly pick up Nemeth later on, but I mean, that's a long ways off.
Yes, speaking of long ways off, look at the gap between P1 and P2.
Oh,
That is
man.
that is quite a long ways off. So yeah,
Yep.
Bauer is just running away with it.
Yeah, and Bauer, of course, he had about half a second there in qualifying. It got chopped down to a quarter of a second there by Vinogradov, but, I mean, heck, even if that has to be more than a quarter of a second per lap. Well, actually, no, it might be pretty close to about a quarter of a second, maybe a little bit more, depending on the race pace. But yeah, he just took the green flag, and I don't even know if he has a rear view mirror or even a rear view screen installed in that thing. I think earlier he talked about his downshifter having some problems.
Let's not curse him yet.
No.
Um, Either way, we can see Abelstad and Bartes, and in the background, Cuthbert and Cairns fighting for positions there. That's gonna be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yep, and then I think earlier on, Ippolito, as we were kind of talking about Abelstead, Ippolito got around Beauchart there for position number 10. So some good battles across the field, at least in the mid-pack. The front and rear have kind of just done their thing, and it's just sort of about hot lapping. But this is really the hotbed of action.
Oh yeah, it seems like this is currently the only action that is on the circuit because yeah, no, not much happening. It is just going to come down to strategy.
Yep, and Cairns and Cuthbert as well, duking it out for position number 8. So we'll see what can happen through the chicane, though. Again, I gotta tell you something. When it comes to practicing Donington, through that chicane is you're either the most confident person in the world or you're more afraid of death than anything, because sometimes you just get it slightly wrong and all of a sudden you're on 2 wheels and facing the wrong way.
Yeah, that is pretty much the entire British Championship summed up. So
yeah.
well done.
That's a very true statement.
The curbs on every British track are just insane, and it's I think it's quite ironic that many of the British cars cannot take those curbs.
I know, you feel like if anything they would probably make it so they could. The only British manufacturer is Fredrickson up there in P3, and he's still got about 4 seconds to Vinogradov. So yeah, again, It's British manufacturers on a British track and still struggling immensely. We have
And we see a yellow flag somewhere on the
Dawson's
track.
in the
And
pits.
Dawson, yeah,
Let's see if we can
unsure what happened there.
oh, just I guess get spooked off his line
Mhm.
as Fredrickson comes through. And boop.
He just pulled over.
I'm not certain what happened. Is he interesting.
I Very interesting. No idea what happened there, but we keep going.
Keep going,
And
Abelstead.
he is
Ooh,
out of the race.
he's gone, yeah, so it looks like the Porsche, the number 24, he's done for the night. Obviously not what you want to see, but every driver has their own limits, let's say. As Abelstead loses a good chunk of time to Partes while we were watching that replay, so I'm wondering maybe he got a little bit loose out of one of the corners. Maybe it was the same corner that spun him out the last time.
Or maybe Bartos has just activated the NOS on that Porsche.
Well, you have a good. That's a good theory. The problem is though, Partez's last lap was a 27.9, and Abelsted's was a 29.1. Someone like Simon Bauer is running a 26.7 right now. So sure, but like, nah. It's a good theory. I'll give you that. It's a nice theory. I like it, but the problem is the evidence doesn't really support it.
We don't need no evidence.
Damn, that's a statement, ain't it? Especially nowadays. Anywho, yeah, but things really calming down now. So Abelstead has some work to do if he wants to challenge Partes for that 6th position. And Matt's sort of on his own right now. Although that gap is, I think it's come down a little bit. I think it was, what, hovering about 13-ish?
Might have been, unsure, but yeah, we see Cairns there just trying to hot-lap his way closer to Abelstead, and Cuthbert behind him doing the same.
Yep. These three could be coming to blows later on in the race. You can see Ippolito just for a moment there, that green Aston Martin over the crest, is also looking to get a piece of the action, is slowly but surely reeling in, or getting away from Beauchard. Abelstead's into the pit lane. So that's that first.
Yes, very interesting strategy there from the Swedish driver.
Yep, the first one to pit. So he's got tires and then fuel, possibly. Of course, we don't know how long it's going to be, given how much fuel he puts in, so we'll just have to keep an eye on that. Shoutouts to pit lane cam letting us in the worst position as Brioso dips out of the pit lane. I wonder if that doesn't look like it's been served. I don't know. Oh, he's going into the pit lane. Oh, okay, so that's at the back. Got it. So 2 pit stops already. Abelstead and Brioso with 15 seconds added on for the Portuguese driver, so that's going to hold him up a lot.
And Abelstead seems to be doing a full service on the car. And just as I say that, he's out of the pit lane.
Yeah, he's gone. He's out of town. So he served his mandatory stop. He's going to have 40 minutes on this set.
And look who he comes out ahead.
Vinogradov. That's a... I don't know. Do you want to see that behind you, or do you not want to see that behind you?
I don't know. If you are the race leader, no. If you are just a back marker, then it doesn't matter.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, maybe Abelstead has more pace compared to Vinogradov, but if the Russian's shown us anything, is that he is definitely P90 rushing B every single race, and he is dangerously quick. But the problem is, Bauer's just a little itty-bitty bit quicker.
Yes, of course, and just a few laps ago we saw the gap was like 16 seconds. Now it's over 20 seconds to Bauer. Insane.
You know, it's incredible, and Vinogradov maybe getting held up, of course, and Brioso comes out just ahead of Ippolito and Beauchard, but has to just slot him behind because of that battle. So yeah, it's a lap over 20 seconds between the Honda up in the lead and the Porsche behind. So if you're Bauer, well, you know, just hot lap the end and well, get your pit stop time perfectly. I wonder if maybe Vinogradov tries an undercut to try to catch Bauer off guard, but I don't know. It's going to be a long shot.
Frankly, I do not think an undercut will work with a 20-second gap.
I mean, if... never mind, I was going to say, if something happens, but I don't want to say anything just yet. So, yeah, we don't know what the strategies are. We don't really know what it's going to be at all going into these races, but it's just sort of one of those things as it develops. You know, you see more tire strategies, more pit strategies. Ippolito. What is happening there? Ippolito finds himself in a very dangerous situation. Beauchart has the run out of the first corner side by side into turn number 1. And it's the Belgian that backs out. Decides to battle another day. And just behind there's Olberg and Brioso. Brioso, of course, is back market, so he has to let Olberg ahead. But I'm sure if he's faster overall, he will probably be calling out, asking to go ahead. But yeah, this is starting to be a new battle forming, I think.
Yes, of course, and it is a battle for P9, and behind him we can see Oberg 2 seconds, so he might be joining that battle very soon, as we see a sign there on the racetrack.
Well, you don't know, and Beauchart has lost some time up to Ippolito, surprising, especially because it looked like he may have had the pace.
Yes, very interesting things we are seeing on the racetrack right now, but with a little over 30 minutes to go, we see a yellow flag being waved for something.
Track map, it dictates the 788 of Nidzelsky, so let's see if we can dissect this one. Goes into pit lane. Oh, that's not pit lane. Is that the old pit lane?
Yes, that is the old pit lane. Oh god.
Well, it's important
That
to
is
practice.
very unfortunate.
Well, it's good because he actually wanted to go into the pit lane. So Nidzelsky,
Yes.
a little bit of a blunder there. Ippolito goes into the pit lane. I think that's a new one.
Yeah, yeah.
We're laughing with him. Don't worry, we're not laughing at him. But I mean,
Yes,
to be
of
fair,
course,
I also got caught out by that when I was practicing. I was like, oh, I'll do pit lane, practice on my own time, and then I went there and I realized there were those yellow or orange barriers, and I realized, oh, that's not the pit lane, that's the old one. So it looks like it's still catching people out. I'm not alone, but I mean, hey, didn't hit anything, so that's a plus, right?
yeah, of course. It's always a bit funny to see anyone driving the wrong layout, but it happens to the best of us, and that's gonna be a 10-second penalty for Nidzelsky.
Oh, surprising. So let's look, speeding in the pit lane, maybe not knowing where that break point is, so that is going to hurt a lot. Ippolito, of course, getting held in for his penalty. And I think, yeah, it's just Beauchart that has to serve his later on in the race. Outside of Ippolito, everybody else is staying out. And, of course, as I say that, Oberg goes in. So it'll be your top 9 that have to serve a pit stop. Ippolito back out on track.
Yes, Ippolito getting a full service on the car there and serving his penalty. He's gonna be looking to just get through the pack, if possible, to get anything out of this race.
Yep, but still just over half an hour to go here as Bauer peels into the pit lane. He's around here somewhere. There he is. So the leader comes in. Does... Ooh. Okay, Vinogradov having some issues there.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what that's all about, but we're right here with Roombouts, who is in a comfortable P4. And behind we see Nidzelsky going off.
Yeah, not a good thing there, but able to keep it together somehow, some way. So Vinogradov takes the lead, sort of the race, but of course he still has to pit. Bauer is out and about in the world. Where is he? There he is, out. So he's going to come out, it looks like, in
And Parker.
P7 ahead of Cairns and Cuthbert. So everyone ahead and everyone behind him has to pit. So once all those stops go through, Bauer should be back up into P1, barring some sort of error.
Yes, and he seems to be coming out behind Bartes, which is rather unfortunate for him because Bartes does not seem to be right on pace with him, so there might be some interesting things going on the track soon.
Yeah, well, Partez's best lap is a 27.8, and Bowers is a 26.4, so that's over a second between them. And the gap is sitting at roughly 2 seconds or so, 1.8 it looks like officially. And with damage, of course, that Porsche not as quick as it should be, so he'll be looking to possibly just get out of the way as soon as he can, not really fight this one. You can see Bauer, look at him, just all fours, just full charging.
Oh yeah, he is a man on a mission to get God knows which win in this season, so yeah.
Let's be honest, when is he not a man on a mission? It seems like every single race he is trying something else, and Partez dips into the pit lane. He is not going to bother fighting this at all. He's got some tires to put on, got some fuel, and possibly some damage to get rid of as well.
Yes, of course, as we see, Cairns and Cuthbert just driving one behind another there for about an hour almost here.
Yeah, it will be an hour and about 20 minutes. We had an extra 10 minutes tacked onto this race. I believe these last two races, the formats are going to be a little different. I haven't gotten all of them myself. I believe they may have been mentioned somewhere, and then I immediately forgot. But at least right now, it's 70 minutes on the clock to mix things up a little bit. Next week, of course, we are going to be at the Hungaroring, a home race for Nemeth, so we'll see if he can maybe do some good there on his home turf. Everyone else, though, of course, looking to expand the gaps where they can. We'll give you point updates and standings as well next week once results are finalized, because nothing's ever set in stone immediately. But still, 2 more weeks of action, so that'll finish up April 6th. And then we'll have some time off before the next season starts. Cairns in some trouble, though, starting to go side by side into the hairpin, but really keeps it well and truly
Got it
planted on
there,
the inside.
just right on him into the last corner. Seems to be having a bit of a run there, but not quite close enough, unfortunately. They have been battling here for many laps. Both still have yet to pit, so it's gonna be an interesting turn of events.
Yeah, I think this may be a case of just playing chicken, see who goes in first. Because if Cairns goes in, that means Cuthbert has to put in an almighty lap if he wants to get, or to completely try to nullify that undercut. But if Cuthbert goes in, Cairns has to make sure that he's running quickly enough so that way Cuthbert doesn't come out ahead of him and goes wide there. Does find some time, but again, you know, this track is not really too nice to some of these cars, the McLaren especially.
Yes, that is true, and I think it's going to be a interesting strategy battle. But what might be the best strategy is to just follow the other guy in, because if you just follow him in, who knows, maybe he makes a mistake and you just drive past him in the pit lane.
Possibly. That is the, I guess, the call there. As Brioso starting to come under fire from Ippolito, two completely separate drivers in skill. The inside line belongs to Brioso as Ippolito's very late on the brakes, cuts the exit of the chicane, will have to redress the position and try it again. Cairns on the front straight. His gap is looking a lot healthier than Brioso. You can see the Aston Martin, two British manufacturers, battling out for P12. It's kind of surprising to say that Ippolito's battling out for a position this deep in the field, but then again, a lot of the cars ahead still have to pit.
Yes, that is very true, and in the background we can see Fredrickson just following somebody there,
I believe
unsure who
that's
that is, but
Abelstead, if I'm correct. We'll see. Yep.
yes, that is true. So
That's surprising that Abelstead has been sitting in front of Fredrickson, but of course, I mean, maybe they've decided that they don't need to really let things go. They'll just do it the old-fashioned way, as I believe Ippolito goes kind of wide there on the grass, keeps it together, though the Aston Martin, pretty stable car overall, very nice to drive, and also very nice to build, because they have those the little Lego versions of the cars. The Speed Champs, I built one recently. Ooh, very nice. But we're not here to talk about Legos.
yeah, I cannot really comment on that, but I'll trust you.
It's fun. It was
Either
fun
way.
to build. What can I say? It was a 2-pack. It had that and the Valkyrie, but right now it's the Advantage who's taking advantage of the situation. Down the back straight into the hairpin. Ippolito sitting pretty neat and tidy there on the inside, I must say, as we exit the corner. It's Brioso that gets a better exit, still side by side, doesn't want to give this position up. There may be a pro driver staring him down, but he wants to give him a run for his money. Another possible cutback. They both make contact and park it beautifully in front of pit lane, although you probably shouldn't do that. They need to make sure they don't pick up a DQ for driving backwards. A nice little spin there from Ippolito and Brioso away back on circuit, but that was the most peaceful crash I've ever seen.
Yes, I will give that a 10 out of 10 for synchronized spinning. And yeah, we can see here Bauer just about to get past Nemeth.
Maybe not quite. Not as much real estate to work with, although the inside line could be better, and especially with the stats that Honda boasts, a little bit better than the BMW. Into the final corner, Bauer's going to try to send it around the outside. There's just a couple of bumpers between them, and Bauer moves it around up into P4. Like a little flash there to say thank you. Nemeth still has to pit, and Bauer looks ahead to, I believe, that is the back marker of Nidzelsky.
Yes, that is indeed Nidzelsky, I think, and I don't think he will cause any trouble to the leaders.
No, he's a very nice driver. Mr. Nidzelsky is very relaxed, very calm, so he knows he'll be blue flagged. He'll get out of the way as soon as he can. And the gap that Brioso had following that double spin, the double pirouettes, has not done him all too much of a service, as Ippolito right back into it.
Yes, that is the second time these two drivers have touched in this race, which is an interesting statistic, but very unfortunate for both of them.
Yeah, but the battle continues here for P11, possibly getting shuffled a bit further up once. Vinogradov, Fredrickson, Rumbouts, Nemeth, Cairns, Cuthbert, and Bouchard all serve their pit stops. Of course, Bouchard with 15 seconds to get added on, and Nidzelsky with 10 for speeding in the pit lane. So that'll mix things up a little bit as the race carries on. And, well, we still have just under 30 to go here at Donington Park for round 6 of the Simrigs Sprint Series EU Split, as Ippolito getting a little bit ambitious on the inside.
Yes, of course, and under 30 minutes, and we still have half of the grid yet to pit, as Ober goes a bit wide there, but he's fine.
Yep, let's the back marker getting blue flag, let Bauer through. Bauer, of course, still running with fastest lap of 26:42. Compared to everybody else, only driver in the 26s. The only person close on fastest laps is Terje Fredrickson with a 27:25.
That is quite interesting.
Yeah, but can you really be surprised, though, given the last time Bauer was here, he did pretty much the same thing?
Yeah, I cannot really be surprised, but it is very impressive that he's been able to do that.
Even even with the changes that the Hondas had since almost 2 years ago, I mean, it's like he hasn't forgotten it at all. Man, Ippolito is really just sending it over these turns, not really clipping up the apex quite as nicely as he would like And I don't know if that's losing him time or it's maybe sort of canceling itself out, but Brioso's still in P12 at the moment.
Yes, Brioso is just running ahead of Ippolito here for God knows how many laps now. They have been battling at the beginning of the race, through the middle, and yeah, near the ending now. So he has been quite impressive this race, but Ippolito seems to just be stuck behind him.
Yeah, but Ippolito makes the chicane work a little bit better. He's going to look for a switchback here through the first hairpin and then into the second one. That's the penultimate corner we just passed. But Brioso holds strong. As I say, that misses his breakpoint. Ippolito finds some space to work with on the inside. Could we see a run? No. I'm surprised Ippolito's struggling this much.
Yeah, there might be some problems with his tires, maybe. I'm not sure, but yeah, I don't know what's happening to him.
I don't know either. He doesn't have wets on, thankfully, but it's just not finding enough
Are you sure?
space. Yes. It's making me doubt myself. Whoa, there's Brioso having a bit of a moment there, and that lets Ippolito through. Interestingly enough, Ippolito was a 10th faster those last few laps, and it looks like the pressure was a little too much for Brioso to handle. So the Italian moves up into P12. And, well, still got another 20 minutes and still 7 drivers yet to pit. I wonder if they know they need to pit. Hopefully they do, because if they don't, that's going to be embarrassing. And as I say that, I clicked right on him as he went in. So Cairns is in, and Cuthbert stays out. So if Cuthbert is going to try to hang on to this position, he has to put in one hell of a lap. And, that's going to be kind of tough, I think, especially with Cairns and how well he's been running this evening.
Yes, of course, but the gap between Cuthbert and Cairns has been extending, so I think Cuthbert just has to get a decent enough lap to get out ahead.
Yeah, but I'm sure he'll be looking to, why would you settle for okay when you can get something greater than that? But over with how it's been, yeah, you may be right. He'll probably just look to set a pretty average lap there, so he gets a little bit slide happy. Cairns is out of the pit lane down the hill. You can see the gap may not be enough for Cuthbert to hold his position, but he could stay out. He doesn't have to go in right now. He could stay out on track for a while, try to open the gap up in his favor, and then go in. 20 minutes to go, so plenty of time.
Yeah, so a lot of time till the end of the race, so anything can happen, and we still have half of the grid yet to pit.
Yeah, and Cuthbert passes it up, so yeah, maybe looking to go as long as he can and go at the end of the race. I think that's what a lot of drivers are possibly going to be doing. Bouchard, one of them, 15 seconds for him. And then it's Nemeth, Rumbouts, Fredrickson, Vinogradov. So, yeah, we're going to be seeing some very, very late pit stops here, I think.
Yes, it's going to make for an interesting strategy battle here on Donington Park.
Yeah, but of course this will possibly shake up the standings a little bit once it's all finalized and we get ready for the Hungaroring next week. For those that may have been paying attention to the Sprint Series and the standings and the splits, you may have noticed that the AP region is running their Pro Finals and their Pro-Am Finals. They got 4 splits, so they just plucked all those drivers out, put them into 2 splits, called it a day. EU wasn't able to do that, so for these guys, the points have stayed the same, and they are going to continue the debate, the arguments over who gets to hold the trophy for their respective class at the end of the season. North America, though, we had made the call at the end of last week's race to merge red and blue together. So we have one big split later on tonight, and that's actually going to be the start of our 3-round finals. So for those guys and gals, it's going to be a clean slate, no points whatsoever. So it'll be a 3-lap shootout to crown the winners of NA. That will not be for, I think, another 4 or so hours. So if you happen to be up around then, hey, come check me out and check out Sam Raworth. Sam Raworth is not able to race tonight, so he'll be in the booth with me, which is always nice. As Oberg picks up a drive-through and Ippolito gets 10 seconds.
Yes, those are very late penalties. I am unsure for what, but we can check right now.
Ippolito, it's a 10-second for a collision on lap 28, and that would possibly, if I had to really take a guess, I'd have to say it was the touch with Rioso that spun both of them.
Yes, and Oberg's incident is not listed, so I'm pretty sure that is either for something in the pit lane or track limits.
It'd have to, yeah, it's always track limits. If you see a drive-through pop up for a driver in the middle of a race and they're not in the pit lane or anything, it is for track cuts, as we, or maybe as some people don't know who are watching either currently or in the future. When you cut the track, you get a warning, and when you get 4 of those, you get your final warning on that 4th one. And if you cut the track again, then you pick up a drive-through penalty. You have 3 laps to serve it, or you get disqualified. So for Oberg, he'll have to come in at some point in the next couple of laps, unless he wants to have his McLaren parked for the rest of the evening.
That is true, but the 4th one is the one you get the drive-through, not the 5th one.
I thought you got 4 warnings, and then they...
No, you got 3, and the 4th one you get a drive-through, so you almost got it correct, but it's fine.
I don't get drive-throughs because I'm slow. It's gonna say good, but that's not true. I've not been driving as much as I would have liked, just life and whatnot going on. Vinogradov into the pit lane, so for him that'll be his mandatory stop cleared, and he'll probably come out of the pit lane with a little under 15 minutes to go. So that'll leave Fredriksson, Fredriksson, Rumbouts, Nemeth, Cuthbert, and Beauchart, who have yet to get a fresh set of rubber on those cars. Checking out Abelstead right now, P10, looking to pick up some extra positions. There's Rumbouts just behind in the new liveried up Honda, and just beyond that, it's Simon Bauer. I can speak English, all right?
Yes, I believe you.
I'm decent enough at it. They haven't taken away my English speaking license yet, so I'll take it.
Either way, Vinogradov comes out behind Bauer with what seems to be new tires.
Yeah, possibly. Ooh, there's Cuthbert sending it around. That is Oberg just behind. Had to serve that drive-through. So for him, that's... I don't think he even lost any positions. I don't think so.
Unsure.
Well, either way, comes out in P11. Yeah, I don't think he lost any time. I think they just a little slap on the wrist, and Ippolito stayed behind. So yeah, the race here starting to come down. There's Abelstead letting 2 faster drivers through. Of course, Bauer just looking at the back of Rumbouts' car. He knows what he has to do, and he knows when he has to do it. But does Rumbouts put up a fight, or does he stay out? I think he's gonna toy with Bauer a little bit.
Yes, that is going to be an interesting fight if Rumbouts decides to fight that position, but he has yet to pit, as well as Fredriksson, Nemeth, Cuthbert, and Beauchart.
Yep.
With a little less than 15 minutes to go in this race. That is going to be interesting.
And just as you say that, Nemeth decides to go into pit lane, get that sorted out and fixed and put away nicely as we get here. Just about 13 and a half minutes left. All that's left on track in terms of pit stops: Fredriksson, Rumbouts, Cuthbert, and Beauchart. And Bauer looks to the inside, but he's looking at the rear view, or the rear bumper rather, sees what's there, and you can see how much he's closed that gap down just from turns 2 onward. As we head into the chicane, does he get brave on the brakes? No, he doesn't. Actually brakes a little bit early and just has to slot in behind. Out of the chicane, doesn't get the best line, but with the slipstream could pull in a little bit closer. Although too far back for much of anything, but he baits Rumbouts into overshooting it, but it actually works against him as
We have a
Rumbouts.
yellow flag somewhere.
Not certain where that is at the
788.
moment.
It is for Nidzalski doing something, I'm unsure, but back on this fight.
Yep, and Ippolito, in the meantime, had picked up a drive-through, but Bauer really kind of following the same sort of style we've seen, the same sort of instances of mindset where you're just a little bit impatient and just not getting enough road to work with to get the overtake. We saw it a lot at the start. You get a really good run out of the corner, but the problem is there's just not enough asphalt there to keep you going, and you have to sit back behind. Although he is really just pushing Rumbouts for this position, and I think Rumbouts knows what's coming. He just wants to delay the inevitable just for a little while.
Yes, of course. Maybe he's trying to just slow down Bauer, so something is going to happen with the strategy battle. We are unsure what, but maybe he's helping Fredriksson or somebody there on the grid. It's very interesting to see that Rumbouts is deciding to fight his position despite having to pit.
Yeah, maybe just for bragging rights, saying, "Hey, you know what? I was ahead of Bauer for a little bit. It's okay." 11 minutes to go, and still a good chunk of the grid. So it looks like drivers aren't losing as much time with these pit stops as I originally predicted. Because a little wiggle there
And
from
just a
Rumbouts.
little bit of waiting there. Love to see it.
Yep, Fredriksson in the pit. I think Rumbouts was here earlier. He's talking in chat a little bit, so he's probably still listening, saying hi to everybody. Definitely doing a really good job of keeping Mr. Simon Bauer at bay as this race winds down. So it's Rumbouts and Bouchard that have yet to pit here. Fredriksson, I believe, will be coming out. He's going to come out behind Vinogradov, so that's good news for him. But Bauer still chasing down Rumbouts for a little bit longer. We'll see how long this battle goes on for, whether it keeps going. Bauer, out of these corners, he's getting a really good line out, and he just peeps the inside, and there's Ippolito off the track on the left.
Yes, I am unsure what happened there. He just seems to be stopped and only now got going. That is very bizarre.
Yep, and Bauer, is this the chance? A little bit later on the brakes, just covers off the inside. He's going to force Rumbouts to the outside, and there it is. Simon Bauer retakes the lead here at Donington Park. Just under 10 minutes to go as he is cruising for another win here. Rumbouts still has to pit. Same with Bouchard, so even if Rumbouts gets around, it's not really going to matter all too much, and Bauer already pulling out a huge gap compared to what Rumbouts was had on his plate just a few laps ago.
Yes, of course, and I am unsure what the strategy is for Rumbouts and Bouchard, because it is less than 10 minutes left in the race and they still have not pit, so I don't know what they're doing.
Well, hopefully they pit soon. If not, they are going to pick up a penalty. We see Ippolito there behind Vinogradov. So I think what happened with Ippolito, it was up through that right-hander, the blind one. I'm willing to bet he may have just gotten a little bit too on the inside and spun, or maybe just missed the apex entirely. It's a little bumpy up there.
Yes, as I mentioned earlier on, the bumps and the curbs on this track, they offset the cars a lot, and even the British manufacturers cannot take them, which is quite funny.
Well, if there was a Bentley here, I think it'd be a different story. But we all know how powerful the Bentley is. Maybe a little too overpowered, right?
Yeah, if there was a Bentley here, I think we would be seeing it in P15, but
No, it'd be
anyway.
How dare you disrespect the boat. Anyways, there's, Fredriksson, a huge dive down the inside. I think Bouchard maybe just let him through because he knows that he still has to pit, and rather than hold up Fredriksson and maybe push himself back into Cuthbert, better to just let the driver who's already cleared a pit stop through, because at this point, well, you got 15 seconds added on. You've got 8 minutes to do a pit stop, and if you're running about 128, 129, You don't have that many laps left to serve your pit stop unless you want to get a penalty.
Yes, that is true, and he might just want to serve it at the end of the race, but he will then get an additional penalty for not pitting.
Yep, and I believe it's 30 seconds that we add on. I don't remember exactly. I don't think we've seen a driver not serve a mandatory pit stop in a long time. And the thing is, when depending on actually, I think you should be able to see it on your MFD on the right side, on the lower right side. If we pull up the HUD here, so I believe it's right where the tires are for this HUD. It should say you have one mandatory stop, which includes tires and possibly refueling. So it's not like the drivers don't know.
Yes, they do know very well, but who knows? Maybe it's just a part of the strategy.
Oh, Nemeth in trouble. There's Fredrickson on the inside. This is the battle for P4 at the moment, as Fredrickson gets a better line and Nemeth doesn't even fight it, it looks like, and Fredrickson moves up another spot.
Yeah, it is quite a move from Fredrickson, but of course Nemeth went wide and couldn't really do anything about it.
No, just had to sort of lie down and take it because he was not going to find any sort of extra space. Whoa, completely misses his break point. Thankfully, avoiding Fredrickson. And, well, there you go. The gap is... What was that? Oh, Ippolito. Oh, interesting. I wonder what that's all about.
I am not sure.
I don't think it's for maybe just a splash of fuel and then serve the penalty? I'm not certain, because the thing is, Nidzelsky isn't even close. So it's not like he's in danger of losing his position.
Yes, he might just be going for the fastest lap, even though there is no point in doing that, but yeah.
No, I mean, Ippolito's fastest lap is a 27.865 compared to Bauer, who still has the fastest with the 26.42.7. So, I mean, sure, if you want to talk about maybe the second fastest in Pro, but the second fastest lap in the Pro category is Fredrickson with that 27.25. So, I don't know. It's a strange call. And there's Rumbaus.
Oh, and Rumbaus in the pit lane.
All right, so that just leaves this Lamborghini, the white Lambo right there, the wedge of Beauchart, who still has to pit, and there's Nemeth ahead, but even if he gets around and goes into the pits, it's not going to matter. 5 minutes on the clock, and that's going to be, what, 4 laps to serve this pit stop? He may just do what Rumbaus is doing and get it done now.
Yes, I am, yes, as I said, I'm unsure what the strategy is for them, but he has to get that pit stop out of the way sooner or later.
Yep, and we saw Ippolito pick up a drive-through, unless that was a mistake. Oh, no, it's getting added on. He may have been speeding in the pit lane, so it goes from bad to worse. So if he gets around...
Oh, and just loses the car.
Ippolito, it's a heartbreak. He lost the time to Nidzelsky, tried to run it as wide as he could, thankfully kept it off the walls, but man, that's gotta sting.
Yeah, it is a very unfortunate race for Ippolito today, but yeah.
Yeah, it's not what you want, and he's probably just stewing in his rig right now. He's still got just under 4 minutes to go, so just get these laps done and get ready for next week at the Hungaroring. I'm sure it'll be an interesting race. Beauchart still has yet to pit. 15 seconds is the penalty. If he doesn't go for it, I think it'll be 45, and that'll punt him quite a ways down the grid. I think within the top 10, unless Olberg, no, Olberg would be on. No, so he could be out of the top 10 by the end of this if he doesn't pit, but he has to know that he has to pit.
Yes, but who knows? Maybe he's going to do it on the last lap.
It would be something. I don't know if that's the best strategy, but I'm not part of this the strategy meetings. I'm just here talking into a microphone.
Yeah, same. But very interesting stuff we are seeing from Bouchard here, and he goes on for another lap.
Yep, and we should be seeing two more after this. Simon Bauer currently through one of the hairpins, so he'll come across the line. His laps have been in the low 27s, so when he crosses the line, he'll have to do it, sorry, two more times. So, yeah, Bouchard maybe knows that and is going to hold out. Maybe, yeah, like you said, wait till the end. But the thing is, if he goes into the pit lane, depending on where his pit box... Actually, no, I don't think it'll matter. Or actually, if his pit box is early enough, it might clear, but I don't think it is.
No,
It
that does
won't
not
count.
work in ACC.
Alright, well then it won't
Yeah.
count, so yeah, he has to go in. If he crosses that line and isn't on a new set of tires, then he is going to cop a much heftier fine for everything he's done. I mean, he'll probably come out, if he pits right now, I'd say maybe, what, 10th? That's the
11.
meth. Yeah, 11th. So yeah, because Abelstead would pick up a position. You know, it could be 10th. Everyone
And
else behind him moves up. So, I mean, it's still a top 10, but yeah, I don't know. It's strange. He does
he
get
makes a
around the
move on
meth.
Cuthbert there. Oh, I mean, on the mat there.
I was gonna say Cuthbert's a little far back, but I like the enthusiasm. Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe he just wanted to get around to meth and then go into the pit. Yeah,
And that
there it
goes.
is. Just get around to meth and then get a new set of tires on. I like the strategy. I mean, he was chasing him down, so I don't think it's too far off to assume.
Yeah, I mean, 15 seconds plus. Yeah, it's gonna be an 18-second pit stop at the minimum.
Well, he's in the pits. Everyone else is driving on through. Simon Bauer. It's the last lap, and what a race it's been for this guy right here. It's been almost a lights to flag race, but he's got one more lap to do it. So it looks like, okay, so Glenn coming in chat and saying without the requirements to take tires, many of the AP drivers pitted and put 1 liter in, which only took 3.2 seconds. And that's exactly what Bouchard has done. So he's come out in 10th. And Abelsted's picked up 9th. So he's just got to make it, he's got to finish this one more lap. And Abelstead will pick up a very respectable P9. But this has been... Man, what an afternoon it's been here. Yeah, Bauer, lights to flag so far. Vinogradov back in P2, Rumbouts in P3. A pretty standard podium that we've seen week in and week out. Fredrickson just starting his final lap now. There's Nemeth in the background in the BMW, P5 for the Hungarian. Cuthbert and Cairns, these two have been doing battle for a while, and it looks like there may not be enough time for them to have one more scrap. Partez, a heavily damaged Porsche, not heavily damaged, but a moderately damaged Porsche, though, in P8. Abelstead was rocking up in P5, but just did not have the best of luck and drop back. I think this would have been an amazing race for him. Simon Bauer crosses the line in P1. What a surprise. There's Vinogradov, a little bit of drifting there for the Russian. A respectable P2 just ahead of him around this final corner. Brioso crosses in 12th. There's Abelstead in 9th. There's Bouchard in 10th, even with the penalty. Still within the top 10. Vinogradov parks it off to the side. Ippolito, a race he will certainly want to forget in P13. Rumbouts around the final corner as well. It'll be a top 10 or top 3 finish as drivers leave the server. That's going to mess everything up, so we'll get you those final results, or almost finalized results, once everybody crosses the line. But overall, it's been a pretty good race here despite the lower count. Fredrickson, oh no, Fredrickson's out of fuel. He's out of fuel.
Looks like Fredrickson just out of fuel on the last corner.
But someone's got to have a heart, right? Someone's got to have a heart to give him a push. Is that how that works? There's no way. That's Cuthbert and Cairns. Oh, does he cross the line? Yeah, he does. He makes it across. There's Cuthbert. There's Cairns. Nice little parting of the seas there. So just enough for the Aston Martin to cross the finish line. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this race here at Donington Park. And man, what an evening it's been.
Yes, a very exciting race today, and of course, Simon Bauer picking up the win, and yeah,
Yep,
a
so
pole to a win. He just drove away with it.
yep, almost picked up fastest every sector, but you see Vinogradov had a better sector 1, that 20.09. Keeps Bauer's entire lap time row from being purple. But let's look at the race results. That's what we're here for. So overall, it's Bauer on pole 20, or on top step of the podium, 23 seconds clear of Vinogradov. I think that's his largest margin of victory so far this season. And of course, Rumbouts joins him on the podium. 2 Hondas, 1 Porsche. So many times we've seen that. In the Pro-Am category, it's Nemeth 13 seconds ahead of Cairns. Partez rounds it out there, and Beauchart misses out. He's a lap down by the end of it all. In the amateur class category, it's Abelstead and Olberg, the only 2 amateurs here this evening. And for the silvers, it's Brioso with Nidzelsky. Dawson, we saw him leave earlier, but he'll still pick up that podium where he can. It's what matters, right? So those are your final results. And now we get ready for the Hungaroring next week.
Yes, of course, Hungary next week. I am unsure what the format is, but we will find it out. So, yeah, it's next week, same time, and hopefully an exciting and a clean race.
Yep, I'm personally excited for that. Hungaroring, not really a track I do too well on, but that doesn't matter. One final shout out, of course, to Simrigs for sponsoring Season 12 of the Sprint Series. I mean, how many times have I talked about them through the course of the season? Melbourne-based sim racing supplier. Or Patreon members, you get 5% off if you're in the Australia, New Zealand regions. Shipping's as simple as using Amazon, but outside of that, you just got to give them an email and they'll be more than happy to do business with you. So, of course, again, thank you to Simrigs for sponsoring Season 12 of the Sprint Series. But, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us tonight. We got one more race here at Donington Park. North America, we've had a split merger. Red and blue coming together for one massive split, and that's going to mark the start of the finals for that region. 3 races to crown the winners, and I'm sure it's going to be as amazing as always. I will be back later tonight to do that, and I will be joined by Sam Raworth for that broadcast in about 4 or so hours. Hope to see you all there, but any final closing thoughts from you, Charles?
Nothing much, really. It has just been an amazing race, and hope to have the same next week.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. But ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of myself, Charles, and everybody here at the OOR, we'd like to thank you so much for popping by. Hope you enjoyed your stay. Make sure you like and follow as always. Back again in just a little bit of time for North America, and then we're off to Hungary next week for round 7 of EU. But until next time, stay safe, stay beautiful, and we'll see you then.